Welcome back to the Angry Man Podcast with Jason and Greg. So I did want to take the opportunity to dive into some of the comments that were made by Terence Crawford as it relates to Mike Tyson and his performance versus Jake Paul this weekend. I believe personally that Terence Crawford's response was tied to some comments that were made by Mike Tyson probably 18 months, maybe even 2 years ago, that Terence Crawford probably didn't take kindly to. And so he took this opportunity to be critical of Mike Tyson. And I also believe that some of his comments this past weekend are rooted in a little bit of envy for Mike Tyson and what he can still do at 58 years old. And I'm going to explain that here in this video. So let's talk about it. Terence Crawford's first tweet this past Friday about Mike Tyson and his performance. I'm going to read it off here. I love Mike Tyson, but they're giving him too much credit. He looked like trash. To train that long and only throw 97 punches the whole fight is crazy. I'm just glad he didn't get hurt out there. So he loves Mike Tyson and he's glad that he didn't get hurt out there. But certainly he was critical of Mike Tyson. Now, let's talk about it. Shakur Stevenson, his little brother, has been criticized for the amount of punches that he's thrown in the past. However, Terence Crawford has called it beautiful boxing. Now, I want to use this as an example. Edwin De Los Santos. In that fight, Shakur Stevenson threw roughly 209 punches. If you look at the average per round, that roughly equates to around 17.4 punches per round. If you take that average and you multiply it by 8 rounds, the amount of rounds that Mike Tyson fought, that ends up being roughly 139 punches that he would have thrown in that fight, had it been 8 rounds. And then if you look at the fact that Mike Tyson only fought 2-minute rounds and Shakur was fighting 3-minute rounds, if you adjust the amount of punches for 2-minute rounds, Shakur would come in at roughly 91 punches over a 8-round fight with 2-minute rounds. That means he actually had a lower output than Mike Tyson when you look at it, when you normalize the numbers. But you're being critical of Mike. That doesn't make any sense. But again, I believe that is partially tied to the fact that Mike Tyson has been critical of Terence Crawford. Now, I want to play this clip from Mike Tyson. This is something that was on his Hot Boxing podcast, which I don't believe is around anymore. But he had Kamaru Usman on here, who I believe is also a native of Nebraska. And this is probably roughly a minute of video here, I would say, but I'm only going to play the audio so you guys can hear exactly what Mike had to say in regards to Terence Crawford. I never heard Bud respond to this, but I do believe criticism is tied to this. So let's play it.
I love Crawford. I went to school in Nebraska, and so hearing a bit about, I never actually met Terence, but I've heard a lot about him. We have similar people in similar circles, so I like him as well. I think he's a dog, and that fight right there. I don't care if it's $150. I'm paying for that. If I'm not there live, I'm paying for that fight.
So the fight that they're talking about here is Errol Spence versus Terence Crawford. That's the fight that he's willing to pay $150 for pay-per-view. And so I just wanted to give that background so you understood what it was he was talking about.
For sure. Well, let's get it back to
one more to talk about. But the problem with that fight is he wanted money, but he couldn't sell 5,000 tickets.
Woo! And this isn't the only time Mike has talked about the selling power of Terence Crawford. And I know Mike Tyson and just his impact on just the game overall. Of course, Terence Crawford probably had the opportunity to hear those comments. And I believe that that's part of the reason why Bud is being so critical of Mike. But here's something else that Terence Crawford had to say in regards to, I believe this is tied to Mike Tyson. Of course, it's tied to Mike Tyson and Jake Paul, because this is the only reason he would have said this at the moment. But here's what Crawford had to say. I think I can do 90,000 at Memorial Stadium. I believe Memorial Stadium is the stadium that the Huskers play at. I think I'm gonna go on and make history just to make some of y'all mad because y'all be hating. What's up? So of course we know that Jake Paul and Mike Tyson sold out AT&T Stadium, had a record gate there, I believe 17.8 million or something like that for that particular fight. And so now Crawford is saying that he's going to go out there and sell out as well. Brother, you are not going to sell out like Mike. You can't. And a lot of people want to attribute the sellout to Jake Paul, but that was all driven by Mike Tyson, because Mike Tyson is an enigma. He's always been one. People are drawn to him. And so Mike made the comment that you can't sell 5,000 tickets, yet you want big money. Mike goes out 58 years old and has the ability to sell 70,000 tickets just based off his name recognition alone. It has not even been in the ring for a while. That has to rub some fighters the wrong way, specifically when Mike has been critical of their selling power. Now, Terence Crawford is talking about he's going to sell out 90,000. And don't sit up here and come in the comment section talk about, oh, why are you talking about Bud and what he sells and da da da. This is Crawford. I'm talking about what Crawford is saying. Crawford is talking about his selling power. Crawford, the individual that could not sell out 22,000 seats during Riyadh, is going to sell out 90,000 at a stadium? Come on, bro. Come on, bro. And that's not hate. It's pure logic. You know what I'm saying? There's no logic in what he's saying. You haven't sold anything outside of Errol Spence. It was rumored that you only sold 70,000 pay-per-view buys for Riyadh season, and it was clear that the stadium was not at capacity. Even with Eminem's help, you still couldn't sell out the stadium. So you're going to sell out a 90,000. Listen, I get it. As a boxer, it has to be somewhat disheartening when you see non-boxers make that kind of money. I totally get it. I understand it. But to go on and be critical of Mike did a hell of a job, considering he's almost 60 years old, getting into the ring for the first time in 20 years? Yeah, I mean, he did a hell of a job. And he made $20 million in doing so, probably something that many of these guys would only aspire to making. So shout out to Mike for his ability to still draw. Shout out to everybody that was involved with the promotion. I mean, they made big money. It wasn't something that we covered on this particular channel because it's not really, I don't really deem it as, boxing per se, but at the same time, or boxing that I would cover. But at the same time, you got to give love and credit to Mike Tyson for what he was able to accomplish this past weekend. And there's no need to hate, man. Keep it real. What Mike said was not a lie. You don't sell, and it is what it is. You guys tell me what you think in the comment section. Do I have it right? Is this part of the reason why Terence Crawford could be pissed? Because Mike has been critical of him in the past. And not only in that video, I've heard Mike say some things that were critical also about Terence Crawford. I'm just not taking the time to go dig up all those videos. But let me know what you think. Don't forget to hate, like, comment, and subscribe. This is the Angry Man Podcast, AM Sports Media, and I am out.